You know, most folks with even a casual understanding of world history are familiar with the name Napoleon Bonaparte, the former emperor of France over 200 years ago. Such a prominent leader in history is tied to countless stories of political intrigue and exploits in battle. But most of this concerns events taking place in Europe.
Now, you might be surprised to discover that Napoleon actually had strong ties to the United States, specifically right here on the Eastern Shore. And with us to uncover this mystery is Andy Nunez. He is an author and amateur historian. Andy, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, so probably thousands of books have been written about Napoleon, but you've studied the actual connection to the Eastern Shore?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
People have realized that in post-Revolutionary War America and War of 1812 America, there were a lot of people who admired Napoleon, who sympathized with Napoleon because he fought the British. So it's no surprise that a number of people right here on the Eastern Shore were what they call Bonapartists. They were adherents of the Bonapartes, and two of the biggest families on the Eastern Shore, names familiar to both, the Nunezes and the Kings, were both ardent Bonapartists, and they actually wanted to rescue Napoleon from St. Helena, where he was exiled after Waterloo.
Really?
Yes.
So what is this I understand about two mansions, one in Worcester, one in Somerset?
Both named Beverly.
Okay.
Beverly of Worcester was built first. It's down near Pocomoke on the river.
Okay.
Was built by the Nunezes. The Nunez family also had a mill on a pond, which they named after Napoleon's victory over the Austrians at Wagram. So that's how Wagram Pond gets its name.
How about that?
So that was one family. Now the Nunezes were in shipping. They had a fleet of schooners and ships and things like that. Now the other family in Somerset County who built the other Beverly were the Kings, descended from Robert King I, who was an Irish baronet that settled here on the Eastern Shore, that Kings Creek is named after.
Ah.
So these two families knew Jerome Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother, because he married a girl from Baltimore named Betsy Patterson. And they had a son named Jerome Napoleon Bonaparte. And so Napoleon didn't approve of this. You know, she was an American, she was not a noblewoman, nothing like that. So he forced Jerome to annul the marriage.
Oh my.
So he could marry this German woman, Catherine of Württemberg, and cement the dynasties of Bonapartes and Württemberg, and just like he later married Marie Louise of Austria to cement Austria and France.
Right.
You know, so after Napoleon was defeated and he went to St. Helena, which was way down the African coast, people began hatching plots to rescue him. His brother, Joseph Bonaparte, the ex-king of Spain, was living in New Jersey. He was friends with the Kings and the Nunezes. So they put together this plot along with the mayor of New Orleans to go rescue him from St. Helena, bring him to Beverly of Somerset, where they had built a secret room next to a fireplace on the second floor that was only accessible through the wood closet, and hide him out until the heat was off, and then he was going to New Orleans to live out the rest of his life.
Wow, how about that? I had no clue there was such a tie.
It is such. And the reason how I learned about it was I went to an estate sale for Freedom Ainsworth, who owned Beckford, the mansion in Princess Anne, and Almoddington, another mansion. He was interested in buying Beverly of Somerset. And on the cover of the pamphlet that he got about Beverly, it mentions the plot. And he wrote, I've got his handwritten notes, it says, and when it talks about the secret room, he's got where, question mark, second floor bathroom, question mark, because in the 1930s, there was a fire that ruined the interior of the house. So the secret room was gone, burned up, and it was all remodeled. So it's hard to tell exactly where that was, but that was his speculation. And he was an architect. So if anybody had an expert opinion about that, it would have been him.
Knew what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Andy Nunez, thank you again for visiting us.
anytime.
Appreciate that very much.
Thanks for having me.